Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a blessed day today, and welcome back. My name is Rabbi Danyiel, and right now I'm talking about lessons in the book of Genesis and Bereshith. We're talking about the creation process, and we're on day 5. So I'll read that in English first, and then I'll start covering some words in Hebrew that kind of stand out. God said, "Let the waters teem with teeming living creatures, and the fowl that fly about over the earth across the expanse of the heavens." And God created the great sea giants and every living being that creeps, with which the water teemed after their kinds, and all winged fowl of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, but the fowl shall increase on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, a 5th day. So now we'll read it in Hebrew for you. Vayomer Elohim שיצרצו המים שרץ נפש חיה ועוף יעופף על הארץ על פני רקיע השמיים, ויברא אלוהים את התנים הגדולים ואת כל נפש חיה הרומשת אשר שרצו המים למיניהם, ואת כל עוף כנף למיניהו, וירא אלוהים כי טוב, ויברך אותם אלוקים לאמור פרו ורבו ומלאו את המים במים, והעוף ירב בארץ. ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום חמישי. There's really not a lot that stands out as far as the Hebrew words that I can see right now. Although when you study Scripture, you study and things begin to illuminate along the way. So you read a passage one time, and then again, and before you know it, other things start popping out, especially if you're reading it in Hebrew. Your depth and knowledge of the language starts growing, and then it just really starts to stand out. There's not a lot that really stands out to me at this point in the 5th day. However, it does bring in the concept of nefesh chaya. So I guess I can talk about that topic. There's multiple levels of soul, and each soul is a little bit different. So you have the neshama, the nefesh, chaya, yechida. There's different levels of soul, and this one specifically is talking about nefesh, and nefesh basically relates to like a breath of life. Okay, it's like and then there's ruach. I missed ruach in the previous. Ruach actually also means wind. So these level of souls mean different things, and they're higher and higher as you go. There's 5 of them, and it talks about your relationship with God actually. So these creatures have like not the lowest, because everybody classifies them a little different. I've seen some rabbis classify different. In my understanding, ruach is the lowest because ruach also means wind. And then after that is nefesh. It's like a basic form of animation, so to say. So these creatures that are alive, they have animation, but they're not really developed. And then after that comes the nefesh and then the neshama. The nefesh talks about a breath, and the neshama is even deeper. So it's like only humans have the neshama. The nefesh, all creatures have the nefesh that are moving around. So ruach just gives life to things. So like even plants have ruach inside of them, because if not, they wouldn't be able to exist. So this one is talking about very basic life forms here. The creepy crawly things, insects, waterborne insects, fish, everything that's basically creatures of the water. Remember, water is most of what this planet is, and so that does make sense that God would create creatures in the water first. However, another word that stands out is, it says in English, across the expanse of heaven. Okay, and here it says, Al Pnei Rakia Hashemayim. And if you remember my previous, I talked about day 2, day 3, I talked about Rakia Hashemayim, which I believe is space. So they're talking about these animals that fly upon the face of space. Well, you're looking up from the Earth, looking up, there's a separation between our atmosphere and space. You're talking about creatures that can fly extremely high in the air, from our perspective here on Earth, and falcons, hawks, eagles. These creatures can fly, and it appears that they fly, right on the face, right up at the edge of the atmosphere, right before it breaks off. And, they fly really high for the perspective of a person here on Earth. So I just find that very interesting. It says Al Pnei Rakia Hashemayim. Remember, it doesn't say Ba Rakia Hashemayim. It's not saying they fly in space. No, it's saying Al Pnei, which means like on the face, on the surface, on from our perspective, from here to there. They're flying the highest levels of the atmosphere that a creature could fly. And that's what's taking place right there. In addition, you also do have what some people believe is a pre-Noah Earth, where the atmosphere was quite different before it broke apart. And if that's the case, this makes even more sense. Al Pnei Rakia Hashemayim, right on the cusp, on the edge. It also uses a unique word here for create when it talks about creating the great sea giants. Taninim is could be translated as crocodile. It's a giant reptilian creatures, basically. And when it says great, gadol after it, it's like a huge lizard type or huge reptilian type of creatures. Unique part, and I haven't figured this one out, but it's thrown out there for anybody that wants to question. And if you ever find an answer to it, leave a comment, because I'm interesting. But it says, this is one of the, I remember I spoke previously, like in the first lesson on creation, there is 3 words for creation. There is bara, which means ex nihilo. There is yotzer, which means to form. There is asa, which means to make. And that means different things. Only a few times in scriptures is there a bara used. We see it in Isaiah. We see it here in Genesis, in the very first piece of Genesis 1:1. It's this idea of ex nihilo creation. So God Almighty brings forth these giant lizard, reptilian type of creatures. Sounds an awful lot like dinosaurs. My opinion on dinosaurs is that there's a lot of corruption in archaeology, dealing with anthropology, dealing with origins of man. And I believe there's a lot of things out there. Of course, there's bones and there's other things, but they're not complete. They're pieces, and anybody can take those pieces and manipulate them for what they desire, to try to say what they think it is. You're talking about these pieces are, 5%. For evolution, they found a jawbone, and then they try to say that from the one jawbone, they have artists come in and paint pictures and how they found the missing link, and it's a jawbone, and later on they found out that the jawbone was actually related to an extinct pig, and then they found out that the pig wasn't extinct, that the pig now lives in South America. So there's a lot of corruption there. There's a lot of people, known for frauds in that realm as far as investigation of ancient bones and stuff like that. The processes of how something becomes falsified is not very clear. There's people that have been proven to be able to do this in a matter of weeks or years or weeks or even days. They find rare fossils of like humans where they, with a boot that is only 100 years old, but it's like, how did that even get in there, and it's fossilized? So there's a lot of misunderstandings there, and people. So I don't want to get into all of that. My point on this is there's a lot of things we don't understand, and we try to make sense with our worldviews that we have. And when you try to do that, that's not objective science. That's getting into philosophical ideas of science, the belief system, basically, of science. And I'm not really concerned about the belief system of science. I only want science for the factual things it can prove, the factual things that, like I can take an apple and I could drop it and I could time it as it falls to the earth type of science. Because the rest is just conjecture. So here, the unique thing is, I believe that it is talking about dinosaurs, and that I believe that they are creation ex nihilo. Now, we say dinosaurs. That's a common term now, and it was taken from the Latin, which means scary lizard. So actually, it means the same exact thing as what we're saying here, a giant lizard-type creature. The ancient people in the Middle Ages or before might have called them dragons or something to that effect, and that makes perfect sense too. So dragon, a lizard, a giant lizard creatures, dinosaurs, they're probably all the same. We just don't know how to really understand what they are. And so with that said, the word here for creation is using the bara verb, and so I've always wondered why. So it's a very unique thing that God created these giant lizard-type creatures, and he made them bara, where you'll find out through the rest of this, he doesn't make anything else bara. The body of man, he doesn't even make bara. The soul of man, he makes bara, but the body of man, he doesn't make bara. So I find that very interesting. It's one of those things that says, exegete it, explain it, dig deeper, and I haven't seen anybody to explain it or dig deeper on it yet. So one of my own searches is to figure out why those are created ex nihilo. Okay. And God saw that it was good. He saw that all these creatures were good. Again, that's a common theme. He says, it is good, it is good, it is good. Okay. And God blessed them, and he said, be fruitful and multiply. So all the creatures in the world, he's put in the natural wisdom of creation into their bodies to be fruitful and multiply, which is amazing, if you ask me, because with this concept of be fruitful and multiply, like, a human should not be able to multiply at all, because as the semen works its way to the eggs, there is so many things that try to destroy it on the way. And the miracle that it makes it, and it's only 1 in a million or whatever the number is, to inseminate. I mean, it's amazing. But here he says, be fruitful and multiply. He wants us to be fruitful and multiply. He gives us that blessing to be fruitful and multiply, and he does it to all his creatures. And we see he does it to even the simplest, smallest creatures here. Be fruitful and multiply, because they all serve a purpose in his kingdom. They all serve a purpose in his world here that he has created for us. And then he says that these creepy crawly things and all this other stuff is in the waters. They'll fill the waters and the seas. And the fowl, and the birds, these winged creatures will fill the earth. So in this day, we seem to have something similar to dinosaurs, something similar to birds and sea creatures. Okay, day 5. All these creatures in day 5. So with that, I'd like to say, I hope it was a blessing. Hope you learned something. The bulk of the work of creation as we see really starts taking place in the 6th day, and you're going to see all the land animals and, of course, man amongst them. And that's going to start getting really interesting. So have a blessed day, and I hope everybody's blessed out there. If you like my video, post it, push the like button, subscribe if you like it also. Share with others. So after this, in the comments, if you want me to talk about a certain topic after I'm done with the 6 days of creation, let me know, and I'll explore it. All right, be blessed.